You ever meet someone who feels like a loaded gun, dangerous, unpredictable, and way too tempting to touch? I'm Madison, 19, and I just spent 2 weeks in our Houston house turning my stepdad Ryan into exactly that. It wasn't supposed to happen, not like this, but when Mom ditched us for some cryptic work trip, coughing up along with the flu and leaving me with a half-assed "don't fuck up" Mads over the phone, I saw an opening. Ryan's 60, an ex-swim coach with a jawline that could cut glass and eyes that linger like they're peeling you apart. He's not just hot, he's a walking warning label, and I've always been the type to rip those off and see what explodes. It started quiet, a slow burn in our Texas sprawl of a house, the kind with a pool that glitters like a trap under the moon. First night alone, I'm pacing the living room in a ripped tank and shorts, the AC buzzing, the silence itching under my skin. Ryan's on the couch, legs sprawled, sipping whiskey in a faded black tea that clings to his chest, the TV flickering some baseball rerun he's ignoring. I grab a bottle of red wine, Mom's cheap stash, pop the cork, and pour 2 glasses, sliding one across the coffee table with a smirk. "Bet you're too chicken shit to drink with me," I say, nudging his knee with mine. He looks up, slow and sharp, that grin curling like smoke. "You're lighting a match, Mads. Hope you can handle the burn." I sip, grinning back. "Burn's my favorite part. Bet you'd choke first." 2 glasses in, the room's tilting, my blood's buzzing, and I'm itching for trouble. I stand up, swing, and toss out, "Bet you'd just sit there if I jumped in the pool right now." Ryan leans back, arms crossed, muscles flexing under tan skin. "You can't swim worth a damn. Don't be an idiot." I laugh, brushing my leg against his as I stumble toward the glass door. "Idiot's my specialty. Bet you'd let me drown." He warns, "You'll regret that," but I'm already stripping down to my tank and shorts, the backyard pool shimmering like a dare I can't ignore. I never learned to swim, too stubborn, but the wine's screaming, "Do it, Mads, do it." So I leap, cannonballing into the deep end, the cold hitting me like a punch, and then I'm sinking, legs flailing, panic clawing my throat as water chokes me silent. I thrash, bubbles swallowing my screams, until Ryan's there, slicing through the dark like a blade, his arms yanking me up. I gasp, coughing, clinging to him as he drags me to the shallow end, his hands gripping my waist, his soaked shirt plastered to his chest. "You're a fucking maniac," he growls, water dripping from his hair, but his hold tightens, warm and steady. I grin, teeth chattering, pressing my arm against his. "You looked like a goddamn hero saving me. Bet you'd do it again." He smirks, guiding me to the steps. "You owe me now, trouble. And I always collect." I nudge his shoulder, dripping wet. "Perfect. I pay in chaos." That night cracked something open, a fuse I didn't know I'd lit. For 2 weeks, with Mom still gone and her texts shrinking to "you alive," or "house still there," Ryan and I turned the place into a war zone of tension and dares. Mornings, I'd slink into the kitchen barefoot, catching him at the stove, flipping bacon in that faded tea, his hair damp from a shower, the air thick with grease and something sharper. I'd lean on the counter, elbow brushing his, teasing, "You're too sexy flipping bacon, bet you've fed wilder girls than me." He'd smirk, tossing a strip onto a plate. "Wild's my lane, Mads. Bet you'd beg for more." I'd snag coffee he'd slid my way, fingers grazing, and whisper, "Bet you'd keep me up all night serving it." He'd grunt, "Night's my turf, bet you'd crash first," and I'd bump him, grinning, the game piling up heat until the kitchen felt like a furnace ready to blow. Afternoons were a slow tease. On the back porch, the Texas sun scorching the cracked concrete, I'd sprawl in a chair with a soda, watching Ryan scrub the grill in a rolled-up flannel, sleeves shoved up over those arms that had hauled me from the pool. I'd nudge his chair with my foot, smirking. "You're too hot cleaning, bet you'd tackle me instead." He'd flick the brush, grinning. "Tackling's your fantasy, Mads. Bet you'd squirm." I'd lean closer, soda fizzing, and tease, "Squirming's your move, bet you'd spark me up first." His hand brushed mine as he adjusted the grill, promising, "Sparks are my game, I'd light you slow and mean." We'd trade shots at me daring him to burn the house down, him vowing to fan the flames, each word a tightrope, each glance a loaded promise. Nights were where it got messy. One evening, a week in, I found him in the living room, sprawled on the couch with a bourbon bottle, the TV off, the room dark except for a flickering lamp. I dropped next to him, snagging the bottle, pouring a shot into a smudged glass. "Bet you're too dull to keep me awake," I said, knee brushing his thigh. He smirked, taking the bottle back. "Dull's not me, Mads. Bet you'd fold under real fun. I leaned in, sipping, teasing, fun's my poison, bet you'd overdose me. His hand lingered as he passed it back, fingers grazing mine, promising, overdose is my trick, I'd hook you deep. We drank, traded dares, bet you'd spill, bet you'd crash, until the room spun and I slumped closer, whispering, you're unraveling me, coach. He grinned, low and rough, unraveling's my play, bet you'd beg for more. By week 2, we were a lit fuse. One humid night, with Mom's return still a hazy threat, I dragged Ryan to a dive bar downtown, a grimy pit with neon buzzing and a bass line that rattled your bones. I threw on a leather jacket and ripped jeans, daring him with a wink. Bet you're too stiff to keep up here. He climbed into his beat-up truck, swapping his flannel for a dark shirt that hugged his frame, and grinned. Stiff's not my issue, Mads. Bet I'll spin you out. Inside, the air was a swamp of sweat and whiskey, and I ordered shots, teasing, loosen up, old man, bet you dance me dizzy. He downed his, eyes glinting, and we hit the floor, bodies crashing through the crowd, my hands on his shoulders, his on my hips, every spin a dare, every nudge a vow. We laughed, stumbled, downed more, tequila now, until the night blurred into a fever of heat and rhythm, our breaths mixing as we pressed closer, rules melting in the haze. Back home, drunk and wild, we crashed through the door, my jacket half off, shoes scattered. I swayed in the hall, giggling, bet you'd claim me tonight, win every damn dare. Ryan tossed his keys, smirking, shirt crumpled. Claiming's my endgame, Mads, bet I'd wreck it all. I stepped closer, teasing, wrecking's my prize, bet you'd make it epic. His hand slid to my waist, guiding me toward his room with a husky, I'm the chaos you crave. I tugged his shirt, laughing. Chaos is my drug, bet we'd torch this place. The bed groaned as we fell into it, a tangle of dares and heat, his whispers promising ruin, my challenges pushing harder, until headlights cut through the blinds and Mom's voice sliced the night. Madison. What the fuck are you doing? She'd come back early, flew gone, fury blazing, storming in as I scrambled to zip my jacket, heart slamming. Ryan bolted up, cursing, timing's shit, bet she'll kill me. Mom grabbed my arm, screaming at him, you're done, Ryan, this is over. She dragged me out, shoving past as he yelled, she started it, but her tires screeched as we peeled out, leaving him in the doorway, a shadow of regret and fire. In the back seat, buzz fading, I stared out, knowing I'd lit a blaze that might never die. Next morning, Mom was a tornado, packing bags, snarling about leaving for good. I slunk into the kitchen, barefoot, where Ryan flipped bacon like nothing happened, his smirk faint but there. I leaned on the counter, teasing, still too hot to be cooking, bet you'd start it all over. He slid me a plate, grunting, bet you'd dive in again, same as always. Our eyes locked, a silent wager Mom could leave, but this wasn't done. Days later, we were still stuck, Mom's exit stalled by some work glitch, and the tension was a live wire. One afternoon, I caught Ryan by the pool, skimming leaves in a tight tee, the water glinting like a taunt. I sauntered over, soda in hand, teasing, bet you'd jump in after me again. He smirked, flicking water my way. Bet you'd drown just to test me. I laughed, nudging his arm. Test's my game, bet you'd save me slow. He promised, slow's my style, bet you'd love it, and we stood there, inches apart, the air crackling with unspoken stakes. That night, I pushed harder. Mom was on the phone in her room, voice sharp, and I found Ryan in the garage, tinkering with his truck, grease on his hands, a beer nearby. I leaned on the hood, teasing, bet you're too dirty to keep up now. He wiped his hands, grinning. Dirty's my edge, Mads, bet you'd roll with it. I grabbed his beer, sipping, and shot back, rolling's my thrill, bet you'd crash us both. He stepped closer, promising, crashing's the fun, bet you'd scream for more, and the garage turned into another battlefield, every word a dare, every glance a step toward the edge. The real explosion hit the next night. Mom was out, some emergency meeting, and I dragged Ryan back to that dive bar, craving one last hit of chaos. I wore a cropped top and jeans, daring him with a smirk. Bet you're too tame to go again. He revved the truck, dark shirt on, and grinned. Tame's not me, Mads, bet I'll break you this time. Inside, we drowned in shots and bass, dancing closer, wilder, my hands in his hair, his on my back, the crowd a blur as we spun into a reckless storm. Back home, we stumbled in, laughing, drunk, my top slipping, his shirt half unbuttoned. I teased, bet you'd take me right here, and he growled, bet I'd ruin us both, pulling me into his room until Mom's car roared up, her voice cutting through. Madison, get out here now. She'd caught us mid-frenzy, her face pure rage, dragging me out as Ryan swore, she's the spark, not me. But she wasn't listening, hauling me to the car, tires screaming as we left him behind. In the back seat, I grinned despite the mess, knowing I'd started a fire that'd burn forever. But it didn't stop there. Mom moved us to a motel the next day, swearing she'd sell the house, cut Ryan out for good. I didn't care, I'd already texted him from a burner phone I'd snagged. Bet you'd find me. 2 nights later, he did, pulling up in that beat-up truck outside the neon-lit dump we were holed up in. I slipped out, Mom asleep, and climbed in, smirking. Bet you'd chase me anywhere. He grinned, rough and raw. Bet you'd run just to make me. We didn't go far, just a dark lot by the highway, but it was enough. Every touch, every whispered dare, promised this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. So there I was, 19 and buzzing like a live wire, crammed into the passenger seat of Ryan's beat-up truck in some nowhere lot off the Houston highway, the motel's neon sign flickering in the distance where Mom thought I was still asleep. 2 days since she'd hauled me out of the house, swearing she'd torch Ryan's life and sell everything. But here he was, 60, rugged as hell, that ex-coach smolder still burning in his gray eyes. I'd texted him from a burner phone I'd nabbed at a gas station. Bet you'd find me. And damn if he didn't, pulling up like a shadow in the night. I'd slipped out, barefoot in a hoodie and shorts, and climbed in, smirking. Bet you'd chase me anywhere. He grinned, rough and low, shifting the truck into park. Bet you'd run just to make me. The air was thick, crickets chirping, exhaust fumes mixing with his cologne, and I leaned closer, teasing, bet you'd catch me slow, make it hurt. He smirked, hand brushing the gearshift near my thigh. Slow's my specialty, Mads, bet you'd beg for it. That's how it started again, right there under the humming streetlights. We didn't drive far, just circled the lot, headlights off, the engines rumble a heartbeat between us. I kicked my feet up on the dash, hoodie slipping, and tossed out, bet you're too chicken shit to take me somewhere real. He laughed, sharp and dark, steering with one hand. Real's overrated, trouble. Bet you'd crash us before we got there. I grinned, nudging his arm. Crashing's my vibe, bet you'd love the mess. His hand slid from the wheel, grazing my knee, promising, mess is my playground, bet I'd drag you deeper. The truck jolted over a pothole, and I laughed, leaning into him, the heat of his skin seeping through his dark shirt. Deeper's my goal, bet you'd dive in headfirst. He smirked, pulling into a darker corner of the lot, cutting the engine. Headfirst's my move, Mads, bet you'd drown in it. Silence hit, heavy and electric, and I turned, knees brushing his thigh, teasing, bet you'd save me just to wreck me again. His eyes locked on mine, promising, wrecking's the fun, bet you'd scream for more. That night stretched thin, a tightrope of dares and heat. We didn't leave the truck, just sat there, passing a warm beer he dug from under the seat, trading bets like bullets. I sipped, grinning. Bet you're too old to keep this up. He snatched the can, smirking. Old's just seasoning, Mads, bet I'd outlast you. I leaned closer, breath on his neck, teasing, bet you'd fold if I pushed harder. His hand hovered near my shoulder, then gripped it, rough and warm. Push all you want, bet I'd shove back twice as hard. The beer ran dry, and I tossed it to the floor, climbing half into his lap, giggling, bet you'd break every rule for me. He growled, hands sliding to my hips, promising, rules are ash, Mads, bet I'd burn 'em all. The windows fogged, the lot a blur, and every touch, his fingers on my skin, my nails on his chest, lit a new fuse. I whispered, bet you'd take me right here, and he grinned, low and mean. Bet I'd ruin us both, right now. But headlights flashed, a patrol car cruising slow, and we froze, laughing as he shoved me back to my seat, muttering, timing's shit, bet they'd lock us up. We dodged that bullet, but it didn't stop us. Next night, Mom was out cold at the motel, zonked on flu meds, and I texted Ryan again, bet you're too scared to come back. He pulled up at midnight, engine rumbling, and I slipped out, this time in a tank and jeans, climbing in with a smirk. Bet you'd take me somewhere wilder. He grinned, peeling out. Wild's my blood, Mads, bet you'd bleed for it. We tore through backroads, windows down, the humid Texas night whipping my hair as I shouted, bet you'd crash us just for fun. He laughed, swerving hard, promising, fun's the crash, bet you'd love the fall. We ended up at some abandoned quarry, gravel crunching under the tires, the moon bouncing off dark water below. I jumped out, barefoot, daring him. Bet you'd jump in with me. He climbed out, smirking, stripping to his boxers. Bet you'd sink first. We leaped, hand in hand, the cold swallowing us, and I flailed, laughing, until he pulled me up, arms tight, water dripping from his grin. Told you, bet you'd need me. I clung to him, teasing, bet you'd keep me afloat just to feel this. He growled, feels the point, bet I'd drown us both next time. Days blurred into a fever. Mom was stuck in some legal mess, house sales stalled, divorce talks brewing, and I kept sneaking out, meeting Ryan in shadows. One afternoon, he found me at a diner near the motel, sipping coffee in a booth. He slid in across, smirking. Bet you're too dumb to quit this. I kicked his shin under the table, grinning. Dumb's my charm, bet you're hooked. He leaned in, promising, hook's my trap, bet I'd reel you tighter. We ditched the diner, driving to a wooded spot off the highway, parking under pines. I climbed out, teasing, bet you're too tame for this. He followed, grabbing my wrist, pulling me close. Tame's dead, Mads, bet I'd prove it. We stumbled through trees, laughing, until we hit a clearing, and I shoved him, daring, bet you'd take me down right here. He tackled me to the grass, pinning me, grinning. Bet you'd fight just to lose. I squirmed, giggling, losing's my win, bet you'd make it hurt. His breath was hot on my neck, promising, hurt's the thrill, bet you'd beg for more. We rolled, a tangle of dares, until dusk fell and we lay there, breathless, the line between us ash. The big blowout came a week later. Mom caught wind, saw a text on my burner, and flipped, dragging me back to the house to confront Ryan. She burst in, screaming, "You're a sick fuck, Ryan, she's 19. He was on the couch, beer in hand, smirking. She's the spark, not me, bet you'd see it if you looked. I grinned, leaning on the wall, tossing out, bet you'd both lose this fight. Mom lunged at him, but he dodged, and I slipped out, laughing, running to the truck. He followed, peeling out as she yelled, "You're done." We hit the highway, wind roaring, and I shouted, bet you'd run forever with me. He grinned, promising, forever's my chaos is bet I'd keep you. We didn't stop, just drove, a wildfire with no end, every mile a dare, every glance a vow that this was ours, no matter who burned. We'd been running for days, me, 19 and reckless, and Ryan, 60 and too damn hot to care, tearing through Texas backroads in his beat-up truck, a trail of dust and broken rolls behind us. Mom's last scream still echoed in my head, "You're done," after she'd caught us peeling out from the house, her divorce threats and house sale plans choking on our exhaust. I'd laughed, leaning out the window, shouting, bet you'd never catch us, as Ryan grinned, flooring it, promising, catchin's for suckers, bet I'd keep you free. The highway stretched endless, a blur of pines and heat, and every mile was a dare, every glance a vow we'd burn this down together. We crashed in cheap motels, abandoned lots, anywhere the night swallowed us, trading bets like bullets, bet you'd break, bet you'd bend, until the world shrank to just us, a wildfire no one could douse. But fires don't last forever. A week into our runaway chaos, the truck coughed and died on a cracked road outside San Antonio, radiator steaming, the sun a brutal fist overhead. I kicked the tire, smirking. Bet you'd fix this just to keep me. Ryan wiped sweat from his brow, grinning rough. Bet you'd ditch me if I don't. We were low on cash, my burner phone funds gone, his wallet thin, and the game was catching up. I leaned on the hood, teasing, bet you'd steal for me, and he laughed, dark and low. Steal's the least of it, bet I'd bleed for you. We hitched to a gas station, flirting through the haze, bet you'd charm M, bet you'd fight M, until a grizzled clerk eyed us too long, muttering about trouble and cops. Ryan nudged me, whispering, bet we'd outrun M, but I saw the flicker in his eyes, time was tightening its grip. That night, holed up in a roach-infested room off I-10, the end started creeping in. I sprawled on the bed, tank top sticking to my skin, daring him. Bet you'd kill to keep this. He paced, beer in hand, smirking. Kill's dramatic, Mads, bet I'd just wreck it all instead. We laughed, but the air was heavy with Mom's threats, the law, the world closing in. I climbed onto his lap, teasing, bet you'd die with me, and he gripped my hips, promising, die's too easy, bet I'd live for you. We crashed together, a mess of heat and dares, the bed creaking like it'd collapse, every touch a middle finger to the consequences, until sirens wailed outside, red and blue slicing through the blinds. They'd found us as Mom's doing, I'd bet, her fury turned legal. Cops banged the door, yelling, Ryan Carter, open up. I grinned, wild, whispering, bet you'd fight him, but he pulled me close, growling, bet I'd win for you. The doors splintered, and chaos erupted. Ryan shoved me toward the window, shouting, "Run, Mads, bet you'd make it." I scrambled out, glass cutting my palms, hitting the dirt as he squared off inside, fists flying. I bolted, heart slamming, his voice fading, bet you'd come back, bet you'd find me, until I hit a ditch, panting, watching cop lights swarm the motel like ants on a kill. They took him, I saw it from the shadows, cuffs snapping, his smirk still there as they hauled him off. I hid, buzz fading, knowing he'd bet I'd keep running. Mom tracked me down 2 days later, dragging me to a new apartment in Austin, her face stone. "He's gone, Mads, jail or worse. It's over." I smirked, silent, thinking, bet it's not. She locked me in, but I'd already stashed a new burner, texting Ryan's old crew, bet you'd spring him. A week later, word came, he'd busted out, vanished, a ghost with a grin. I slipped out that night, hoodie up, leaving Mom's rolls in ashes. Somewhere, he's waiting, I'd bet my life on it, and when we collide again, we'll burn brighter than ever. Chaos doesn't quit, and neither do we.